So today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a caramel iced coffee at home. Don't mind my dog. So before quarantine started, I wasn't really a coffee drinker. I just really couldn't be bothered with waking up a few extra minutes early and brewing the coffee and making the coffee and put it in a cup and waiting for my Keurig to heat up. It wasn't worth it to me. I'd rather just go to Starbucks when I get to school and have my drink there. And because I wasn't really a coffee drinker until recently, this specific recipe took me a while to figure out, just because there's so many different ways to have coffee out there. There's so many different brands, so many different creamers. There's just a lot of different variation, and obviously you're probably not gonna get it on the first try, unless you are, then lucky you. But yeah, so I'm just gonna get right into it. So we're gonna make our caramelized coffee. So first I'm just gonna start off by explaining the types of coffees there is. So there's two types of coffee. There's Arabica coffee, which is low bitterness, high acidity, kind of on the sweeter side, which means normally new coffee drinkers prefer it just because of that low bitterness. It's better on their newbie taste buds, such as myself. And then there is Robusta coffee, which is low acidity, high bitterness, which is usually what you see at restaurants in the coffee pots that the waitresses carry around. And then within those two, there are different ways to make your coffee. So first, there's instant coffee. This is just Folgers instant coffee. You just put a few tablespoons of this in a cup and add your milk or your hot water or whatever, and you have coffee. I haven't got to try this yet, but I will get there. And then you just have basic coffee grounds. I use a French press when I make these. This isn't my favorite way of doing it, just because it makes a large quantity and I don't drink that much a day, and I don't love the caramel flavor. And then you have espresso. I have it in this cup. This is espresso. I'll explain why. So I have a Keurig at home, and I use these Donut Shop Keurig K-Cups. And the way my Keurig works is it has regular coffee setting and latte and cappuccino setting. So when I hit the latte and cappuccino setting, it gives me an option to make a strong shot of coffee, which is what I do. So it's just less volume, but more flavor into it. So it's very, very strong. So it's kind of like an espresso, but not quite the same thing. So after coffee, you have flavoring. There's a few different ways you can do it. Obviously, there's the flavored coffee, which I do not prefer. There's caramel sauce. This is Ghirardelli sea salt caramel. This isn't my favorite caramel sauce. I prefer the Torani caramel sauce, which is more specifically for coffee, but this one works just as well. And then there's creamer. This is the Starbucks caramel macchiato creamer. I did not have that high expectations for this creamer because I'm not a huge fan of Starbucks' coffee, but I do really like this. The caramel flavor is really, really good, and it's a thicker creamer, and I really do like that. Next, there's milk. There's obviously a bunch of different milks out there. You have whole milk, 2%, skim milk, fat-free milk, almond milk, oat milk. There's just a million different ways you can make milk. The two that I switch between are obviously good old 2% and almond milk. The reason I switch between the two is because, for me personally, dairy is an inflammatory, so drinking straight dairy, like 2% milk in my coffee, causes acne, and that's why I switched to almond milk. They don't really taste any different to me in the coffee, just because with all the flavoring I put in there and just the strong coffee itself, it kind of just tastes the same to me. I more get the caramel in the coffee rather than milk flavoring. Yeah, so now that we've talked about what you need for your coffee, I'm going to show you how to make it. So I have a quite large cup. This is a Tervis cup, and I have some ice in it, if you can tell, and then I have a reusable straw. And I use reusable straws because if I'm going to be drinking coffee every day with a straw, there's no reason that I should be using disposable straws. It's just a waste of plastic that you're putting into the world that's going to take forever to decompose or whatever. So if you're using straws every day, get yourself a reusable straw. So I'm going to take my espresso. I'm going to pour it over my ice. And then I'm going to take my caramel sauce. And I like to drizzle this on the ice because the coffee doesn't reach completely. And I also kind of like to drizzle it on the sides. So once I have that, I'm gonna add a little bit of caramel creamer. I'm obviously a coffee newbie, so coffee can't be very strong. So I like to add extra flavoring in it just to help with that. And then I'm gonna add almond milk today. And you can froth this if you want to. There's different ways you can do that. There is like milk frothers that are just little handhelds. I have a Keurig that has a milk frothing thing on it that has a cup, and you just put it in and it spins it for you. I do that occasionally, but you don't really need to do that. So yeah, I'm just mixing it up, making sure all that caramel on the bottom is thoroughly mixed in. And if your espresso melts your ice a little bit, you can add a little bit more, but this is pretty good to me. So yeah, there you have it. At home caramelized coffee.